Hi everyone, hope you're doing alright, hope you're keeping safe, hope you're keeping sane. Something I really want to talk about actually, I wasn't going to make a video, but this is something that's been on my mind, and I thought, yeah, actually this is something I want to chat with you guys about and see really what your opinions are. So yes, you get a double helping of me, a double helping of all the rubbish in the background, a double helping of terrible haircut, and a double helping of the same old hat covering up said haircut. So yes, my apologies for the inundation, but yeah, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on this. I want to talk today about selfishness and gambling, and whether gambling makes us selfish, whether all gamblers are selfish, whether all addicts are selfish. And where I want to start with this really is by identifying what we mean by selfish. Now, we all have people in our lives that we think demonstrate some selfish traits. Maybe they're inherently selfish, and maybe we don't really want to keep them in our lives, but we have to because they're family, or maybe they're generally good people, but occasionally they just have those traits that really wind you up and you think, yeah, that's a little bit selfish. So just to give some examples of what I would think of as someone who demonstrates selfish behaviours. Now, me being me and being the pub fiend that I am, obviously not at the moment, the round dodger. That's a typically selfish trait, isn't it? Someone who will, you go to the bar, you say, would anyone like a drink? And they're always there. They're the first with their hand up, aren't they? Who will happily accept a free pint off you. But you never really see one in return, do you? They always have to leave, or when they see your pint getting low, they disappear off to the toilets, and by the time they come back, oh look, you've bought yourself one. That's one example of selfishness. People who are late. Now, this is actually a pet peeve of mine. People who, for some reason, have this attitude and this opinion in their own heads that their time is that little bit more important than yours, and they think nothing of turning up half hour late to meet you, half hour late to an event. These are the people that, if you have an event going on that you need them there for a specific time or an appointment or something, you tell them half an hour early just to make sure that they're there on time. I think lateness, lack of punctuality is both disrespectful, but it is inherently selfish. It's a very, very selfish trait, isn't it? We all have people in our lives as well, and I think social media is an absolute killer for this. People who will call on you or will only speak to you when they want something, when they want a favour, when they want something picking up, when they need a lift, when they need something fixing, when they want to borrow some money or something like that. These are the people that you don't hear from for weeks, months on end, never check in on you, but then you know as soon as you see their name pop up on a message that they're going to want something. They're going to want something from you. These are also possibly the same people, but possibly a different batch of selfish people who aren't there if you need them. If you need a favour, if you need something, they're busy. They haven't got the time. These are the people that you lend money to, and you take forever to get it back. But if you're a bit short, if you need a bit of money just to see you through the rest of the month, oh, sorry, mate, I'm skint, or whatever, but you know they're jetting off on holiday the next week. You know, these are inherently selfish traits, aren't they? Lack of punctuality and lateness. You know, people who call on you for favours but are never there to return the favour. You know, people who will take from you, be it in the case of a round situation or, you know, financially, but they're never there to give anything back. These are, I think we can all agree, incredibly selfish behaviours. And these are all behaviours that I personally would distance myself from. I like to think of myself as actually quite a generous person, as quite a selfless person. You know, I am there on time if people need me. If someone needs my help, call me. Even if they're one of those, even if they're one of the non-reciprocal type, I'll still be there to try and help them out. You know, so I think of myself as quite generous, quite selfless. However, all of those things, all of those selfish qualities, all of those selfish behaviours that I identified, and many, many more, were very apparent in Phil the Gambler. I've spoken before as how I identified myself as Phil the Gambler. But that wasn't just this devil may care kind of, you know, ace of spades kind of, you know, high roller image that I want to give myself. Phil the Gambler was also someone who demonstrated inherently all of these incredibly selfish traits, these incredibly selfish behaviours. I was late to things. Why was I late to things? Because I was gambling. Did I take pints off of people and not buy them one in return? I'm very, very ashamed to say that on occasion I would have done. because I wouldn't have had a lot of money, or that £4 or £5, however bloody much it was these days, I would have rather have put in the machine, or maybe I'd already lost it in the fruit machine, and so yes, I did want another pint, but I wouldn't be able to get this person one back. People I called upon for favours because I'd exhausted a lot of other avenues of help and of assistance. So I was calling on people that I hadn't spoken to for a while for a favour. And that might have been something, like a lift or something, but it could also have been to borrow money. And I demonstrated all these horrible selfish behaviours which I knew in myself were not part of my natural character, but they were very, very much part of the character of Phil the gambler. So are gamblers inherently selfish? Short answer would be no. The person, as a gambler, may not be inherently selfish, but gamblers and as a group of people and as addicts, yes, we demonstrate inherently selfish behaviours. But, and please at no point do you think that I am using this as an excuse to demonstrate these behaviours, because regardless of the reason, regardless of what is behind selfish behaviour, it's still selfish behaviour. There is no excuse. But it's another reason. It's another reason to change our lifestyles, to change who we are, to change our cycle of behaviour. But this is not necessarily an inherent trait in us. It is the gambling that does our bidding for us. We are, I would suggest, a middleman in this transaction. We are a middleman between the real us and what we're looking to achieve. Gambling is what is asking to borrow money from the people we care about. Gambling is the dismissal of plans, of social plans. Gambling is the reason we are letting people down. We are the middleman, and we are the one that has to verbalise it. We are the one who has to do the bidding for gambling. So if you think about the most selfish people who I think are horrible, selfish human beings, are people like con artists. People who will happily go out of their way to deceive, to lie to people in order to get money, for their own personal gain. Gambling will turn us into that, but we become the middleman. We're not getting the money. Gambling is getting the money, or the gambling institutions are getting the money. But we're the ones having to do the hard work. We're the ones doing the legwork. We're the ones that are deceiving, lying to, and taking advantage of those around us, those people that we love and those people that we care about, and those people who are our friends, our family, and those people that we should be supporting. We are the ones taking advantage of these people, but we're getting no benefit. It's the worst of both worlds. You become a selfish, manipulative, lying human being, but without any of the upsides of being a selfish, manipulative, lying human being. The person who gets the benefit is the person at the end of the line. That is the gambling, or the gambling companies. They are using you, in effect, as a puppet, as a tool to get money. You are literally just the middleman in this transaction. And so my belief is all gamblers, all addicts become selfish. We act in incredibly selfish ways. We let our friends down, we let our families down, and we use people to our advantage. But it is the gambling that is doing that. It's not you, it's not your inherent character, but you will channel this selfishness in order to feed your addiction, to scratch that itch, to get that next hit of dopamine, get that next hit of adrenaline. And like I say, I am in no way excusing this behaviour, but it doesn't mean you will blame yourself. You will tell yourself you're all these sorts of nasty things, and there is no forgiving behaving in that way, but use it as motivation to become the real you, to become a better you. People will forgive you. You need to talk to people, and once they understand you and your problem and your situation, they might not completely understand, but talking is kryptonite to a gambling addiction. It really is kryptonite to a gambling addiction. You speak to people, regardless or not of whether they really truly understand addiction. It will start to put in place an explanation as to why you may be behaving out of sorts. And those people who care about you, those people who have stuck with you throughout your selfish behaviour, they will still be there, but repay them by doing something. Repay them by becoming a better version of you, and repay them by being there when they need you, and not just vice versa, and maybe buy a few pints back when the pubs reopen, you know. So gamblers and addicts behave in very selfish ways. We become horrible, selfish human beings. I did, and I am ashamed of it, and I am still doing my utmost to repay those people that I let down. But don't beat yourself up too much, because you can regain the real you. But you have to quit gambling first. You address the problem and your character will return. You will come back. I am feeling more now like Phil, or only Phil, as I was gambling Phil. I'm feeling more only Phil than I am gambling Phil. And only Phil, I like to believe, is a decent, non-selfish human being. But, you know, I have amends to make. I have people to repay. I have people to make up to and to show. And that the best way to show that is not necessarily buying them pints. It's showing that you've changed. It's showing the hard work you're putting into becoming a better person. And I will end this video by saying what I always say: I'm not on a high horse. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying, look at me, aren't I great? I've done this. Because I failed so many times. And I know you're probably bored of me hearing me say this, but I failed so many times. I know. But it's only, again, once the gambling fog lifts, once the addiction starts to subside, and it will always be there, but it will subside and the urges will subside, that you can take stock of what you did and you can start to make amends. And like I say, the best way to start making amends is to change your life. And that life change might not begin here, but your life change will begin when you stop and address your gambling problem. And there will be links, as always, in the description below for people who can help you take that first step. Cheers for watching. Stay safe, stay sane, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.